Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite cities. I lived in Alberta for a while, and it really cracked me up.
So, good evening, everybody.
Recording in progress.
Maybe we'll just wait for a minute. We are also trying to provide people with a hybrid presentation or hybrid experience. So we have people online as well. And and we want to record this, hopefully. Ideally, not just for posterity, to say you were here at the beginning of one of the consultations for the Centennial Garden, but also to potentially share information with other residents who might be interested, who either can't attend tonight or attending virtually. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us both here in the hall and online on Zoom to learn more about the exciting vision for the future revitalization of Centennial Garden at the historic heart of Village Green Park. This garden, long considered a treasured space in Rawlson Park, will soon undergo a transformation that reflects both our deep history and our shared hope for the future. It is truly a restoration of a space that carries deep meaning for Rawlson Park. This rejuvenation project is community-led, and so this consultation, in a sense, is community-led. It's not an official city consultation, but this consultation and this project is rooted in a long-standing vision, championed with care and persistence by the Rockcliffe Park Residents Association, as well as the Rockcliffe Park Foundation. I'd also like to thank Marilyn Collette for her tireless leadership, dedication, and passion. Marilyn, you've been the heart behind this effort, and we are so grateful. I also want to recognize the Centennial Garden honorary chairs, Adrian Burns, Peter Nicholson, and Gordon Petley, and I saw Peter around here as well. That was such a wonderful fundraiser, unforgettable since I think it was the last snowfall of the season. But it was a very wonderful experience. I want to thank the support that was needed from the community, as well as their incredible generosity and enduring support for this revitalization. Each of them has played a vital role in bringing the vision to life. And please join me in giving everybody mentioned a warm round of applause. Tonight's consultation is particularly meaningful as it follows the recent designation of Rockcliffe Park as a National Historic Site, a proud moment for this village and a reminder of the significance of our shared heritage. The Centennial Garden is an important part of that story, and this project will help restore it to the prominence and beauty it once held and still deserves. I was just mentioning to others that it is, in my mind, one of the crown jewels of this ward, and definitely needs that care, love, and attention which the community is showing. Tonight's session also complements the City of Ottawa's Engage Ottawa consultation process, which gives residents and community members a chance to share your thoughts and feedback on the conceptual plans that you will see this evening. So comments can be submitted through the Engage Ottawa website until Friday, July 4th. There are information cards available here with the website link and contact details. And if you're joining us online, those links will be shared with you in the Zoom chat eventually. Before we move to the presentation, I'd also like to introduce two key individuals from the City of Ottawa who have been working closely with the community on this initiative. I see them in the back. So Renee Proto, our parks planner, as well as Michael Alcon, the city's project manager for this restoration. I want to thank you both for your expertise, your guidance, and your collaboration throughout this process. They're primarily here tonight to listen to you, so you might notice that they're not going to be up front. They are They might be in the back, but they're still the ones in the lead for this project, and you might see them taking furious notes, listening to the input of the community. So I really want to thank them for being here, for all the work that's occurring on this project, and especially the leadership from the Resident Association. And I see that Scott Heatherton is here, the president of your association, and I know that he has a few words to say, but I want to thank him in particular and the association for the support that you have provided for this project, long-standing and enduring. It's very important, and it's a major contribution to this project. So I will invite Scott up to start the programming this evening. Thank you so much.
Merci Rawlson, vous êtes très gentil. Pour l'association, nous avons fait beaucoup d'efforts pendant des années pour avoir le succès que nous avons maintenant. Et il y a beaucoup de personnes ici qui ont travaillé pendant des années aussi. So I think that this is a really great moment for people in Rockcliffe that we've got this far. Long before I came on the scene, a lot of people like Linda DeCare and others in the community worked on this project. And my son, for years, walked across the park through the stone circle on his way to Ashbury. So, you know, this is part of the community. It's part of our family's experience in the community. But for my part, it's been a very small contribution to this. I think that people like Marilyn Collette and Sarah Baxter and others working with them in the foundation have done a lot of work, plus all the landscape architects and the other people. Renee, merci beaucoup. Vous êtes très, très gentil et très efficace. Très efficace. So this is really, I'll be interested to see what sort of questions we get. I know the presentation, which I've seen an earlier one that you did, and it's really quite nice to see, and it's wonderful to imagine what the park is going to look like when it's rehabilitated and back to the original concept with some tweaks. So anyway, I won't go on any further. I think Sarah Baxter has always something to say on this subject and really knows this spot very well. Sarah.
Hi, bonsoir à tous. Thank you, Scott. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of the Foundation Board. First, I want to thank Councillor King and his amazing team for hosting the consultation and for his strong and steady support since, I think, in 2020. It's been a while. We're very grateful. The Foundation exists to support both the village's current programs and its long-term priorities by funding the care of shared spaces and helping sustain the events and initiatives that bring people together. And the Centennial Garden is one of those places. It's not a grand garden, but it has magic. Neighbors walk their dogs, kids walk through on the way to school, residents and visitors taking in the calm, sometimes the littlest ones are in class or their nature discoveries. C'est ça la community. And as a foundation, we're proud to be working alongside the city, the RPRA, the Centennial Garden Committee, and CSW. Our role is to provide oversight and manage the funds contributed to help make this project happen. And we're equally proud that this truly has been a neighbor-led effort. Many of those neighbors are here with us tonight, volunteers and families, some online, who consistently stepped up for the village. Some brought expertise and energy along the way, whether it was 2013, 2015, 2018, 2020, and now 2022. And many have already given generously. Merci de tout faire. We're so glad you're here. Et maintenant, j'ai le plaisir de vous présenter Marilyn Collette. Marilyn has been a driving force behind the Centennial Garden renewal effort since 2022. As chair of the Centennial Garden Committee, she's led her committee's fundraising, she's worked with CSW on design, and she's collaborated with the city's Centennial Garden Working Group alongside city planners, the RPRA, and the foundation. She brought a deep commitment to this project. And if you know Marilyn, you know she brings the kind of determination and persistence every community project needs. And with that, I know she's looking forward to sharing a few words with you tonight. Marilyn?
Thank you, Sarah, for that very nice introduction. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for all being here today. It is truly a special occasion as we come together to unveil the future of our cherished Centennial Garden, a space that holds a deep place in our community's heart, as Sarah, Scott, and also have just said. Just to frame the context slightly again, throughout Canada's, I just wanted to put forward a quote from the Canadian Society of Landscape Architects. Throughout Canada's history, many important landscape architecture masterpieces have been commissioned and executed. The Centennial Garden is of great historic and cultural significance. It was a communal endeavor created by the residents of Rawcliffe Park Village to mark the 100th anniversary of the founding of Canada. As a community endeavor, this restoration plan has been under the guidance of the Working Committee of the Centennial Garden, and very recently that committee has enlarged to become a larger group with greater representation from the Rawcliffe Park Foundation and the Rawcliffe Park Residents Association. So all of this effort, all this volunteer effort, has focused its efforts on the design, on the budget, and on reviewing the forward construction schedule, and of course all that goes along with it. Recently, the city team confirmed that all desired features are within the revised budget and that solution plans have been raised to move forward with this public consultation today, one of several. With adjustments to the design and the costing provided by these consultations and the Engage Ottawa online opportunity for the broader public, the working group will then engage with the tender call, contract the successful landscape company, supervise the construction with CSW landscape architects, prioritize the construction safety, particularly where school children are concerned, and of course the traffic in the area, and continue its role to provide overall guidance and review the project. Aujourd'hui, nous avons l'honneur d'entendre Jerry Korsh, fondateur et directeur principal de CSW Landscape Architects Limited. With over 50 years of professional experience across Canada and the United States, Jerry Korsh has shaped landscapes that are both functional and inspiring. Not long after his graduation from the University of Illinois, with a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture and a Master of Science in Recreation and Park Planning, Jerry established his own private practice. Some of his notable projects around Ottawa, which I'm only going to mention a few: the Queensway Carleton Hospital Campus Master Plan, the Lansdowne Park redevelopment, the Royal Canadian Mint, the U.S. Embassy, the Canada Research Park, and Brook Street Hotel, the Arts Courtyard, and the Rideau Canal L'Esplanade. Just last week, Jerry received the Ontario Society of Landscape Architects Pinnacle Award, bestowed only 6 times in its history. And if that wasn't all, if that wasn't enough, he was also inducted into the College of Canadian Society of Landscape Architects, one of the highest honors for landscape architects in Canada. In the presentation, it said the following: Jerry's passion for landscape architecture is evident in his innovative approach and his commitment to integrating sustainable, community-driven design. His work has helped shape Ottawa into the vibrant green city that we enjoy today, balancing environmental stewardship and thoughtful urban spaces. Today, Jerry brings that same dedication and expertise to the restoration of the garden. His vision is rooted in respect for the original architect, Rockcliffe resident Humphrey Harper. He has taken to heart the historical significance of the space in his hours of consultations with Jerry Lajeunesse, with Lyndon DeCare, and Jane Panay, while reimagining it as a resilient, inclusive, and a vibrant space for all to enjoy. His design concept reflects a blend of tradition and sustainability, revitalizing pathways, native plantings, and gathering areas that foster connection and reflection. We are indeed fortunate to have Jerry and his team leading the Centennial Garden restoration. He will now present his concept drawing and the design features for the garden. Following Jerry's presentation, and because Rawlson mentioned, we open the floor to questions. So this is a wonderful chance for all of us and those who are listening in to learn more about his design process, share your thoughts, and help shape the future of this beloved community landmark. Please welcome Jerry for his presentation.
Gee, we're all, I don't know if I can live up to that. Good evening, everyone. This all started a while back now. Carol and Jane, the rest of the group, and Linda DeCare and Jerry Lajeunesse, they had a vision of rehabilitating a space that had been designed by a resident of Rockcliffe, Humphrey Harper. He was one of the first landscape architects in Canada. And it was dedicated, I could get the date wrong, but I think it was around 1969, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it evolved as part of the larger park, where there were other spaces that were communal spaces. This was a space that he saw as a defining space, bringing the provinces together and tying everything together with the provinces and the territories. And so his design was, for the time, really, well, not just for the time, but for now, is still a timeless design. We didn't want to deteriorate from his vision. And so we wanted to stay in the historic mode that he envisioned the space. What we wanted to do is modernize it, bring it back to life, seen better days. Part of it is a maintenance issue, part of it is snow removal equipment going through there, part of it is in the 60s, there were different construction techniques. And so what we wanted to do is bring it into this day and age, where it will endure for a long period of time, but really not lose the effect that he was trying to bring to the space. So hopefully everyone can hear me, but the space that we're talking about is part of the larger Rockcliffe Park, and it's really the core area of the Centennial Park. The radiating lines that you see represent the provinces. The rocks in the center represented the territories at the time. There were 2, now there's 3. So we'll amend the design accordingly. And what was happening was that the space was losing its cohesiveness as all the various pathways were running through it. So what we decided was we wanted to keep the garland of plant material and stone that Carver had originally put in. But what we wanted to do was quiet down the space quite a bit by actually having another pathway system that comes around the outside edge of the garden so that it can be a more contemplative space when you're in the space itself. It'll feel smaller than it feels right now, slightly, in that right now there's an asphalt path that runs through here. What we're going to do is pull that pathway out, widen out the planted area, and provide for seating all the way around. The other thing that happened in the day when Carver was here was he planted a number of trees, 10 trees. The whole park is now a forest. So in those days it wasn't. The interior trees have all gone other than one that's on its last legs. But the ones that are on the outside still form that garland that was there. So what we want to do is, what we're trying to do is open the space up to more light. That's one issue. So that it doesn't become a dark space. And so what we're doing is we're going to make sure that these trees around the outer edge form that garland, which then makes this a more contemplative area. The materials that we want to use, Carver used flagstone. He used a lot of river wash stone. He used other materials locally available. What we want to do is, one of the aspects that we wanted to make sure of is that we want the new space to be handicap accessible. Right now it's not. The pathways that go through the park are not accessible, and they're too narrow. All the various stones and the way that you walk through there are not conducive for people who are challenged either visually or physically. And so what we want to do is bring in a new palette of materials. And so what we want to do is replace the flagstone with granite. And we're going to do the entire circle will be on a concrete slab, so that we don't get any differential movement like we do right now with the flagstone. So there's no freeze thaw issues, and so it'll be a plaza. And then what we'll be doing is bringing in flagstone and replicating the rays that Carver had there, and also that Linda redrew, Linda DeCare. And she and I are very close, as well as Jerry Longinus. And so what we want to do is we don't want to start over again. The foundation of his design was really well done. What we want to do is bring it into a more modern age. And so that's what we're trying to do, is bring it into a modern age, use modern materials. We'll use concrete, instead of using I've used this before, instead of using gray aggregate, we'll probably be using a Nesbitt river wash stone, so that when we have concrete, it'll read as a pinkish color. Then the granite, I showed Marilyn, I have a sample in the back of my car right now, will be, it's an Ontario granite, and it comes in big slabs. And so what we'll do is we'll take these slabs, cut them, and then I've done this in other places, and I call it crack the slab. You put the slab down, and you carefully figure out where you want the cracks to go, and then you hit it with a hammer, and then you can crack it. I've done this in other places. And so what we want to do is recreate flagstone, but yet have it so that we don't have these great big gaps where, and a lot of mortar joints. So it'll be a very tight gap and it'll look phenomenal. And so that's the game plan going forward to get into the park. Then we go to the next slide. I don't have the controller. What we want to do is we want to bring in, and this is just showing, we had a lot of discussion about how benches would work. We need to put arms on them. We need to make them accessible. And so we haven't selected them yet, but we will be soon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have the granite laid in the concrete, and then we're going to sandblast it. And what it does is it takes the residue off, the gray residue off, and it just looks like exposed aggregate. And it works really well. And then we'll be then planting all native materials in what's going to be a wider area than we have right now for plant material. We're going to leave all those stones and rocks where they are right now. I don't plan on touching them. What I want to do is weed the area and interplant native plant material through here. We're also going to put in conduit for maybe future lighting, but we're not lighting the Centennial Park right now. We'll work with the city as to whether they want to have that happen or whether the residents want that to happen. There's an issue about lighting the parks, and I'm not going to get into that discussion tonight. Anyway, we're going to allow for it, and so and then we're going to bring one more rock into the center, and that will then be contemplative area. We also are allowing for, at some point in the future, some indigenous art that might go in the planted area around the garland is what I usually call it. And so that, in a nutshell, is a much shorter presentation than what Marilyn gave about me standing up. And so this has been a great project for us. Just so everyone knows, my daughter went to Elmwood. So I've done a number of projects here in the area. We're totally familiar with Rockcliffe, and I love it here. So I feel right at home. And this was a blessing to be able to work on this, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jerry, so much for the presentation. As your city councilor, I want to say how deeply I value the leadership, collaboration, and passion that the Rockcliffe Park community continues to bring to the restoration of the garden. This is more than a beautification project. It is an investment in heritage, in gathering space, and spirit of the village. So I'm proud tonight to share that my office is supporting this project with an allocation of $405,937. From the Ward 13 cash in lieu parkland funds. This contribution reflects the importance of restoring this treasured landscape to its rightful place in the heart of Rockcliffe Park. And now I'd like to open the floor for your questions and comments, since we have Jerry here, about the project and the concept plans. Your input is not only welcome, it is essential to shaping a garden that reflects this community's past and future. And like I noted before, we also have city staff in the back who are taking notes, wanting to listen to community input, but also have the capacity to chime in if there are specific areas that focus on city operations or city considerations. I open the floor for Q&A primarily for Jerry.
Yes. It's great, Jerry, really, it's what you've got planned is terrific. My question is the rock, and I commend you on putting the conduit in, because at some point we'll need lighting or something. The rock in the center, rocks size, can you give us a little bit more on what will be the centerpiece?
There are two rocks there now, two boulders. Marilyn and Jane have another one picked out. It's in the park right now, right?
Jerry Lajeunesse
Okay, Jerry
comes
Lynn,
from the park. It is in the interior of the park already.
yes. So we're gonna move one of the big boulders that's in the park into the center, and there will be three in there.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of questions. First of all, the two rocks, Humphrey and Henry, are they going to stay
Yes.
where they are? You're not going to move them because?
I hadn't planned on moving them,
Yeah.
but we might have to juggle things around a little bit.
Okay. There's a lot of duckweed there.
Yes.
It's very hard to get. Do you have any plans to vaporize it?
You know, I had duckweed at our house, and it took forever.
Yeah.
My wife and I to get rid of it. The only way we actually ever got rid of it was burning.
Yeah.
That was the only way we ever got rid of it. So whether we would do that or not, well, we'd have to get into the systemic system and try to rid ourselves of it. The park in and of itself needs a bit of help. And so hopefully we can get together with the city of Ottawa and maintenance crews, and we can talk about that whole issue. But no, Gottlieb can bring up the subject to my wife and just.
Well, you could get the Ashbury students and they could get 80 hours of volunteer time.
Which we just.
You could get 80 hours.
When we did Hunt Club Road extension, we actually did the whole sector and all the reforestation, and we used the kids from Maryvale High School. And they came out and they did a lot of, we provide, the city of Ottawa, it was the region actually, we provided hard hats and boots and the whole bit, and it worked really well.
I mean, they need volunteer hours.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I echo everyone's sentiments. The CSW and the Centennial Garden Group have done an incredible job with the design. I've had a couple of people ask me, so I just hope you can talk about the pathway to Jubilee Garden. You have it as an informal connection, a stone dust path. A big part of this area, close to a lot of people's heart, is the beautiful pine cone, the Elzinga sculpture donated in memory, or actually for Margot Gualtier's birthday. How do you envision, I don't understand, can you talk more about that pathway? Where, does it just go until what spot?
So right now, the pathway you're talking about is this one right here.
Mhm.
And, or no, I
Yeah,
think that's
it's the
that, this
one-
way.
Yeah.
I'm going the wrong way. It's very informal. I mean, you cut through the green space right now. And then the question is whether the pathway should end here and you walk on the grass like you do now. Because when you get to the more formal space, there is no pathway through there.
Exactly.
And I'm really reticent to start to put something new in there. And I would rather have it just so that you don't stumble coming through this space, but I only envision doing this much. And just leave the pine cones alone, leave the grass alone, and that was how I was thinking through.
Yeah, actually, not only that path goes to where they put the ring.
Pardon?
The path goes by the pine cones,
Yeah.
goes through the hedge, and
Right.
that's where you can have the ring.
Right.
So it ends at the Kuban, or whatever you call it, but yeah. Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a technical one. So you've got a very small gap now between the stones. In bridges and things, of course, you leave an expansion gap.
Yeah.
Do you need anything like that?
Well, in the concrete, what we'll be doing is be putting expansion joints in the concrete slab. And what I want to do is line that up with where we change materials. So there probably, if you're out there before the top surface goes in, the concrete slab will probably have expansion joints on the radial pattern, so that when inevitably concrete moves a little bit, not perceptibly, but enough that a crack would show. So yeah, we'll be using rebar, and we'll be using expansion joints through there. Yes. Or you both have your hands up.
It looks fantastic, and I can't wait to see it, completed. How are we going to focus on ensuring that this is maintained? And that we don't run into the same scenario in terms of snow removal and other things.
Well, one of the things we did on purpose was, this is where the pathways come through. We don't have it so that the snowplow can actually get in. And so we are hoping that the maintenance guys, if they're doing the pathways, come around and don't go into the center. I would, even if we have to put sawhorses or put something to block the way in the wintertime and stop people from going into that space with equipment. I don't mind people walking in the snow, but we want to keep the equipment out. So that's one of the reasons why it's deteriorating right now. The flagstone and other elements that the carver put in can't put up with plows going over it and essentially carving that. So I want to keep the machinery out of it.
I might just add that the estimate is that that you gave us in the past, that this will be about $5,000 in addition to current village priority annual expenses for the first few years, and then that could go up to about $8,000 maintenance. The current foundation and the RPRA currently manage the maintenance of Jubilee Garden, so this would, in theory, be added if we're able to cover those costs as a village.
Had you thought, instead of a concrete slab underneath, had you thought of permeable paving?
No, because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. Permeable paving only works to alleviate stormwater, of which we don't have an issue here. So we're going to be grading this all away, and it moves. Permeable paving moves around. I want to prevent movement. So as far as I'm concerned, a concrete slab is really what I want to use as a base material. I do use permeable paving, but I wouldn't use it in this location.
I'm curious about the trees. There were initially 10
Correct.
maples, and now I think you've got 5.
Yeah.
And I would, is the health of those 5 trees secure, or would we need to replace any of those? And I gather you're just going to keep 5 in order to keep the light in
Correct.
there.
Yeah. We have long discussions about this with Linda and Jerry Motionas and Maryland and everyone on the team. The other 5 trees were in the garden itself. There's one left. It's in declining health. The others are all gone. The question really was, do the 10 trees, were they as important for recognizing what Carver was trying to do or was it the radiating pattern that he was establishing, trying to make this a more cohesive space? And the feeling was that the trees were not incidental to it, they were important at the time. Right now you're in a forest, so you barely can figure out where those particular trees were. They're all maples, but, so that's why we just made a decision the way we did.
Can you talk a little bit more about the benches?
No. The benches are, without a doubt, the number one talking issue out of everything that anyone can talk about. And everyone has an opinion as to what they should be. Should they be wood? Should they be metal? Should they be curved? The only thing that I can tell you right now is that we have Canadian manufacturers that will work with us to do custom benches. And so we've been talking to Magwin, is one of them, and there's another couple. Then we had, in our office the other day, we had one of the manufacturers out of Michigan who said they're going to be shipping to Canada tariff-free. They're going to eat the tariffs. I don't know if I want to go that way, but that's landscape forms. And we'll either use Ipe as a wood, or we'll use metal. I really didn't want to go into plastics if we could avoid that. So I'd rather stay with a natural material or go with metal, and we have to make a decision at some point.
And do we know there's 10? Is that what
Yeah.
the figure is?
Yeah, so we have 10. Yep.
On those benches, I know you didn't want to go into detail, regardless of the finishes of the cross section.
Right.
I just recall that it's quite often the schools would use this space as an outdoor classroom, which is quite lovely. And then you've got 20 kids gathered around there.
Yeah.
Currently, with the sort of start and stop of those 10 benches, you would have quite a dispersed class all the way around. So is there any opportunity to, between the entrance points, entryways, to have more continuous elongated benches so that you can.
So if we go to the other slide, we actually were playing with the idea of having a more continuous bench that goes all the way across from one entry point to another. And again, we have to come to a decision relatively soon as to which way we're going to go. But we have been exploring that idea. The one issue that we have to do, though, is it's been decided that we will be using benches with backs on them. That was one of the things that the community wanted. And it has to have arms for those people who are in need of, so it's accessible for everyone. So there will be arms and there will be backs. And that, I'm not going backwards on that discussion. Right, girl?
Can the existing benches, some of them be put along Springfield with Mariposa, so if people are walking, they can sit down?
They're in pretty bad shape.
You know, some of them are, but they're having rehab. They're not all that bad.
Well, I wouldn't put them in. If you want them, we can figure out what to do with them, but I wouldn't put them in this space.
At least one of them has been rebuilt.
I was suggesting putting them over by Springfield, she said, not in this space.
Yeah. They can go other places, but I don't think they would, I really don't want to use them within this space.
Well, I've had people ask me, why can't we have benches along Springfield?
Well, that's our choice. We'll figure that out, right? Yes, sir.
You mentioned Michigan as a possible source of benches. Are other materials from Canada that you're gonna have?
Everything that you see right now is from Canada. The only thing that we might go to is Ipe, which is not grown in Canada. It's grown in South America. The reason you use Ipe on outdoor furniture is it's flame, you cannot burn it. And it doesn't splinter at all. So the latest material we've been experimenting with, and I've used it on some boat docks, I haven't used it on benches yet, is thermal ash. And that's done in Canada. And so what they do is they take ash, which a lot of it's dead, but they take ash and they thermally compress it. And they can make lumber out of it. And that is as hard as pipe. But I haven't used it in furniture yet. So we're talking to some of the manufacturers about using it. We have trouble with other trees. We have trouble with oak, ash, and maple in that they all splinter. And eventually they crack, and then someone gets a splinter, and so we shied away from that. So that's my answer. Is that we have.
I don't have a problem if have a product from another country if we don't have it. But I would have a problem personally if we import products from another country that we do manufacture, as we are celebrating in Canada. Right.
So the companies like Magma, they're out of the Guelph area. We deal with them all the time. They're one of the suppliers to the city. They're great to work with, and they'll do custom design with us. So I don't think I have to go to the States, let's put it that way. That's what I hope. Yeah.
If you want to read out the names of the plants for those of us who are nearsighted.
So there's, I'm not going to go into the Latin names, but there's witch hazel, there's asters, honeysuckle, I can't even read that, but geraniums, sugar maple, and I can't read it. I can't read what it is.
Most of the honeysuckles are invasive, except the two that are native.
Well, invasive in that they will self-sustain themselves within an area. It's not like cows, though.
Well, I was thinking of bush honeysuckle. There are two native North American honeysuckles and 5 invasive from Eurasia and everywhere else.
I'll check it out. In my office, I'm the least botanically oriented out of my group. We'll check it out.
I'll put you in touch with the best management practices officer on them.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that if you guys want to see an example of the wood that Jerry's talking about for the benches, the new benches that were put in at Bingham Park are in fact that Ife wood is how you pronounce
Well, it's either Ife or it's thermal ash.
Ife. So that's what we put in at Bingham Park if you want to.
Actually, all the benches in at Lansdowne are Ife. So.
Yeah.
Excellent. I don't see any more questions. So I just wanted to thank you all for being a part of this evening's consultation. Whether here in person or joining us online, your interests, your ideas, and your presence speak to just how much this garden means to the Rockcliffe Park community. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank my hardworking staff tonight as well, who assisted. So thank you so much, and you assisted in many other ways as well, generally for the community. So really appreciate that. And as we move forward with the revitalization of the garden, your feedback continues to remain incredibly important. So I do want to encourage you to visit the Engage Ottawa website and submit your thoughts on the concept plans. As I had said previously, the feedback period is open until July 4th. But before you leave tonight, I know that there are information cards, so please pick one up. It includes the website link and contact details about the consultation process. Once again, I want to really thank you all for your time, your care, and your continued commitment to preserving the beauty and heritage of the Centennial Garden as well as the village. I really want to wish everyone a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
we couldn't do this without the partnership with the city and his announcement of $400,000 thereabouts, a contribution to this. We have to reiterate that. That's an extraordinarily generous and incredibly supportive, so we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and as we know, the structure is a cost match, and so I really want to thank the community for really stepping up. We saw the wonderful fundraising that's been undertaken, and I know it's continued to go forward, but I think it's important when we have these projects to ensure that we see city support. So, like I said, I'm excited. I told others, and I mean this, it's more exciting than dealing with potholes and all the other parts. It's nice to know that we are contributing to the legacy, both cultural and physical, to this place. And so it's really an exciting project, and I want to thank all who are involved, from the city to the community, to the architects, to the fundraisers. You're the ones who are making this happen together. So much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.